Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to your Premier League predictions. The summer transfer window is over and it is game week 6 this weekend. Those were my predictions up there for game week 5. The midweek games, I did alright. I got 2 correct scores. I was right that Wolves would draw with Bournemouth 0-0. And I was unfortunately, as a Newcastle fan, right that Liverpool would win 2-1. So I did okay, but as always, you guys did better than me. Thank you to everyone who got involved down in the YouTube comments. I'll put a whole load of them on screen now, so be sure to get your predictions down below. But I'm also running a little online league as well, link in the description. And the winner this week of that was GIX0, so well done to you, mate. Beat everyone and won the golden cap for game week 5. Now, as always, be sure to get your predictions down below, as I mentioned, and subscribe to the channel. We will be doing this series throughout the season and for the World Cup in the middle of it as well. And as always, we will go through all of the games for this weekend together now. To start things off, tomorrow on the Saturday at 12:30, we have got the Merseyside derby, Everton taking on Liverpool. Everton still yet to win this Premier League season. They drew 1-1 with Leeds in the week. Gordon scored a goal and they have kept hold of him. He was linked away to Chelsea for as much as 65 million. I tell you what, I don't think it would have been a bad deal if Everton had sold him for that much, because it's a lot of money. But without him, I don't know who will be scoring the goals. And in fairness, I think he's looking good for Everton right now, I've got to say it. And as I say, 1-1 for them in the week, taking on a Liverpool side who are winning games again. Did beat Newcastle just 2-1, were 1-0 down, pulled it all the way back. And as a Newcastle fan, I'm not going to get too much into that one, to be honest, but they picked up the 3 points. They're at home, the crowd goes wild, and they're now up to 6th in the league after 5 games. As I say, did not start well, but have put some points on the board. And a bonus for them, Núñez will be back for this game, if he's selected, to be honest, because Firmino, he's taken over and he's looked good in the meantime. And is this a chance for Everton to get their first win? I think they could score. I think Gordon's on a little bit of a roll, and in a derby, anything can happen. It could well be the game that they turn their fortunes around, but I still just, although Liverpool haven't quite been clicking right now, I still just think they're the better side. So I have backed them 2-1. I'm hoping to see goals. Hopefully it's a good one. I'll be watching it in the morning before I go and watch Newcastle at St James's Park. So hopefully it's an entertaining start to the Premier League weekend. On to the 3 o'clock games now. We have got Brentford taking on Leeds. So Brentford have had a decent start to the season. 1 win, 1 loss, 3 draws. Drew against Crystal Palace in the week. Were 1-0 down. They brought on the subs. They got the late goal. They've scored a couple of late goals now, but I think there's a decent draw against a decent Crystal Palace side. Taking on Leeds, who drew against Everton in the week. Leeds have had a great start to the season. 1-2, drawn 2, lost 1. Jesse Marsch is so positive in his press conferences. It's almost a little bit addictive to listen to an American as well. It's very, very strange. Going into this one, both teams drew in the week, and I've backed the draw here. I've gone 1-1, a score draw. I think both teams are scoring. Couldn't quite edge it either way, so I went for the 1-1. Next up, we have got Chelsea taking on West Ham. So Chelsea lost in the week to Southampton, which I did not expect. They were 1-0 up as well. Sterling scored the goal. Sterling has started well for Chelsea since the transfer, but it wasn't enough. Southampton scored twice to take the win, and Tuchel came out after and actually said that he believes his team are too soft and they need to pull themselves together. Now, Chelsea have not had the greatest start, sitting 10th after the first 5 games. As I say, Sterling has looked good, but generally not a great start for them. They did sign Aubameyang on deadline day, so could he help change the fortunes once he gets in? We'll have to wait and see. Taking on a West Ham side, who also did not start the season very well, lost their first 3 games in a row. They did win 1, And then they drew against Spurs 1-1 in the week. And in fairness, West Ham might have felt like they could have won that game, especially into the end. I mean, Spurs had a good portion of the game and they possibly could look at it and say they should have won as well. But West Ham definitely had their chances at the end that they didn't take. And for this one, it was quite a tough call. I think Chelsea have got the players. You know, if Sterling wants to turn up, you can do it. In fairness, Antonio looked really good for West Ham as well. So I'm not writing either side off here, but I have backed the home side. I've gone 2-1 Chelsea. I'm putting a lot of goals in at the minute. Teams are scoring. And there could be a few in this one, but I've had to back it Chelsea. Next up, still at 3 o'clock, we have got Newcastle taking on Crystal Palace. So Newcastle lost for the first time this season in the week against Liverpool 2-1. Liverpool just scored right at the end, and as a Newcastle fan, was very, very disappointing. But we are leaving that in the past. We'll look at the positives. Isak started for the very first time, scored actually 2 debut goals. One was ruled for offside, which, again, we won't get into today. But certainly positives for Newcastle to take forward. And just losing against Liverpool, despite having arguably their 3 best players injured. Wilson out, Bruno out, St. Max didn't play either, so hopefully we could see 1 or 2 of them return in time for the Crystal Palace game tomorrow. Now, Crystal Palace themselves have looked decent so far this season. Lost 1, drew 1, won 1. Lost 1, drew 1. Hopefully they don't win 1 tomorrow. They drew 1-1 against Brentford, and Zaha scored an absolutely fantastic goal. That's another player who was linked away this transfer window but stayed at the club, and there was actually a really passionate interview with Zaha where he spoke about the fact that once they score, they always defend, need to keep the pressure on, and it was great to hear a player say that, you know, and don't park the bus, let's go for it. And it'll be interesting to see how this game goes down at the weekend. Now, Newcastle have generally been very, very good at the back, but have had a little bit of trouble going forward. I'm hoping that Isak is the man to change that. So I have backed Newcastle. I've gone 1-0. Hopefully it can be 3 points to the Black and White Army. Next up, still at 3 o'clock, we have got Nottingham Forest taking on Bournemouth. So 2 promoted sides here, both on 4 points after the first 5 games. Nottingham Forest lost 6-0 against Manchester City in the week, and Bournemouth drew 0-0 against Wolves. Bournemouth are the first team in Premier League history to have sacked their manager in August. So O'Neill took over as interim manager for the game and picked up a good point. And to be honest, either team could have won that one as well. There was shots from all over the shop and generally wasn't the most exciting game, but I think Bournemouth will probably be happy with a point. Nottingham Forest will not be happy having lost 6-0 against Manchester City, but we saw, I think, 3 new players in the team for their game in the week and have managed to make it a total of 20 signings for the summer. Steve Cooper is a great manager, and if he can knit all of these new players together and get it working, who knows what we might see from Nottingham Forest. And of the 2 promoted sides, they have looked the better of the 2 for me. So I have backed Nottingham Forest to win this one 2-0. Can Bournemouth turn things around? I think they were the favourite for many to go down this season, and after having not really done too much in the summer window and having now sacked the manager already, which at first I thought was very, very harsh, but if you actually go back and watch the interview in full, Scott Parker does kind of say that a few things in terms of his players need help, we need to back the players, having a bit of a go at the players and the board. So I can kind of see why they did it, but it's not a great way to start the season. So yeah, anyway, Nottingham Forest 2-0. Next up, we have got Spurs taking on Fulham, so a London derby. Spurs have still not lost this season. Drew against West Ham, as I mentioned. Son got a very good goal for them, very clever goal. In fact, with Kane down the right-hand side into the box, across the goal, Son puts it in. In fairness, West Ham's goal was quite clever as well, with Antonio onto Soucek, who put it in. But as I say, a very decent 1-1. Both teams had spells in the game, and Spurs at one point could have really gone on to win it, and could have had a penalty. The ball comes in, I think it's Kane who heads it I think it's Cresswell's got his arm up. They went to VAR. It was understood that it hit his head before it hit his arm, but it's whether it's clear and obvious or not. That's the thing that's killing me. Is that clear and obvious? Because from pure eyesight alone, it looked like a blatant pen. And I've no doubt Spurs fans probably think it is a pen, and West Ham fans think they don't. As a neutral, I thought it was a pen. But it wasn't given, and it ended 1-1. And generally, Spurs have looked good. Perisic is now in, looking good as well. Taking on a Fulham side who have also looked very good. 1-2, drawn 2, lost just 1, and beat Brighton in the week, which was a really good win for them at home. And we'll talk about how well Brighton are playing at the moment. Fulham, a promoted side, have done the same, and Mitro is well and truly on fire. He is carrying the team on his back at the minute. He's doing everything. He's not just scoring. 5 goals already this season, and then I think it's Pereira who crossed it in, and there was an own goal which made it 2-0 up. Conceded in the end, but they got the win. And I think it was saying on Match of the Day, no promoted team with 8 or more points after their first 5 games in the Premier League has ever been relegated. So technically, if Fulham were to get relegated now, it would be the first time in Premier League history. So I hope I've not just jinxed them. And I have backed Spurs in this one, but I've gone 3-2. I think Fulham will give them a really good game, and I'm hoping to see a whole load of goals. And the final 3 o'clock kickoff, we have got Wolves taking on Southampton. So Wolves drew 0-0 against Bournemouth, as I mentioned, and are now 12 Premier League games without a win, which isn't great, is it? The start of the season hasn't been great either. 18th after the first 5 games. Jimenez is back from injury, but still waiting on him to score a few goals. I think generally Wolves have got a very good side, and I'm not quite sure why it's not working for them at the moment. And as I say, against a Bournemouth side who most people will probably expect to get relegated, I think they'll be disappointed they couldn't get anything more than a point there. Can they beat Southampton? Well, Southampton are a team that I think a lot of other people may have thought could get relegated this season, but they haven't started too badly at all. 1-2, lost 2, drawn 1, and as I mentioned, beat Chelsea in the week. Not a lot of people would have expected that. Lavia's goal was sensational, and then Adam Armstrong puts in a shot that gets deflected and goes into the top corner, and to be honest, could have scored more. That had a header at the end that was cleared off the line by Silva. So good result for Southampton. And in terms of this one, I've gone 0-0. Wolves aren't scoring. Can Southampton? Who knows? But I've gone boring there, and I've gone, I think the only draw, no, the second draw I'm putting in for the weekend. On to the 5:30 kickoff now. We have got Aston Villa taking on Manchester City. So Villa are another side who have not started the season well, have won 1 and lost 4, have lost their last 3 games in a row, losing against Arsenal in the week 2-1. Douglas Luiz did score from a corner. That's not the first time he's done that this season, but was not enough to take any points from Arsenal. And I'm sure Douglas Luiz was probably not feeling too great, because Arsenal, in fact, were a team who put in 3 deadline day bids for him, and Steven Gerrard rejected all 3, and I can see why, because he's a good player. But I'm sure Luiz wasn't feeling too happy, as I understand he actually wanted to go. Villa need to turn things around quick, and it is not going to be easy against the Manchester City side currently sitting in 2nd place, having won 4 games and drawn 1. Undefeated. Beat Nottingham Forest 6-0, scoring all the goals this season. Haaland got a hat-trick, 9 goals in 5. That is a new Premier League record for the highest number of goals scored in the opening 5 appearances. And I expect him to probably score a few more against Aston Villa. So I've gone 3-1 Manchester City. It's not going to be an easy one for Steven Gerrard, but who knows? It's football. We'll see what can happen, but you can't not back City at the moment. On to the Sunday games now. At 2 o'clock, we have got Brighton taking on Leicester. So Brighton have started the season very well, currently set up in the Champions League spots in 4th place after the opening 5 games, but did lose their first game of the season in the week, as I mentioned, lost against Fulham. Mitro ran the show. Brighton were able to get a consolation goal at the end, but wasn't enough to take home any points. But I've got a feeling that they might fancy their chances this weekend against the Leicester side, who have not started off well. Currently sat bottom of the league, still yet to get their first win. Drew opening day of the season, lost the next 4 games, lost against Manchester United, 1-0 through the week, and are generally having a few issues, aren't they? I mean, the positives are that they kept Maddison in the window, they kept Tielemans in the window, but didn't really add to the side, and it'll be very interesting to see how they do this season. And I think Maddison's got an injury as well, which is also not going to help. So I have backed Brighton to win this one 1-0. And finally, on Sunday at 4:30, we have got Manchester United taking on Arsenal. So Man United did not start the season well, lost their opening 2 games, but have won the next 3. So they've won 3, lost 2, and it's put them into 5th place in the league after 5 games. As I mentioned, they beat Leicester 1-0 in the week, and have they turned a corner? Ten Hag has not been scared to make some big decisions in terms of Ronaldo being on the bench, who has stayed. He didn't go this window. It'll be interesting to see how he does this season. There's no doubt he will want to be on the pitch for every single minute. Could he go in January? Who knows? They also had a huge deadline day signing. Anthony comes in on a lot of money, but he's a very good player. And could we see him make his debut this weekend? We'll have to wait and see, but they are taking on an Arsenal side who are sat top of the league and the only team to have won all 5 games so far. As I mentioned, they beat Villa in the midweek. Jesus has looked fantastic. To be honest, Arsenal had that many chances in this game. They really probably should have been winning 3-4 or 5-1. They had that many goals, and Martinelli puts the ball in the back of the net as well. So it's at Old Trafford. We saw what Manchester United did against Liverpool, where everyone expected them to lose that game. I would imagine that Arsenal will be the favourites going into this one, but you just never know. With big games like this, it can always go either way. And I have actually gone for a big score draw. I've gone 2-2. Once again, for a neutral, I'm hoping this is going to be a good one. Fiery is what I'd like to see in this one. And that is it, guys. So those are all of my predictions up there for game week 6 in the Premier League. Be sure to get your predictions down in the comments below. As always, I go through all of them and try and shout out a few in the next video. And as I said, if you want to get involved in our little online mini league, be sure to check out the link in the description. No sponsor. It's called Superbru. They've got an app and everything. So go and check it out. Get involved. It's always good fun. Alright, guys. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you are watching my prediction videos but haven't hit that button yet. As I say, we're doing it all the way through the season, and we'll do the World Cup in the middle as well. Alright, guys, enjoy your Friday night, enjoy the weekend, and I'll catch you later.